Okay, I'm going to start this session by getting as relaxed as I possibly can. And I'm doing this by doing this little shaking movement. Really, it's just little pulses of energy coming from my knees, from my legs, send that energy up through my body. And while I'm doing that, I'm just scanning my body for any tension and just want to try and shake that tension out of my body. So I'm going to freestyle it a little bit, lean over to the side, to the front, to the other side, maybe to the back. And each time I'm just trying to relax my body further and further. Already I can feel the tension coming out of my shoulder girdle. Then I'm going to move that into noodle arms. And this is a movement that starts at the hips and the energy travels up through the spine, moves my shoulder girdle, and then which in turn moves my arms. And my arms are really just along for the ride. They're just moving around, really relaxed. And I'm just guiding right at the very end. So the front arm taps the front shoulder and the back arm taps the kidneys. So I'm getting a really good massage on the kidneys. I'm just going to expand the amplitude of this noodle arms into Chinese waist twisters. So this is now where I turn my torso, or turn my head to the back wall. It takes a little bit longer, the arms take a little bit longer to get around, but it's a really good relaxing movement. Okay, and back to some shakes. So already I'm feeling a lot more relaxed and chilled out. So I'm just going to flick some residual tension out of my arms, really get super relaxed and flick out of my legs as well. So I'm feeling really, really supple. Okay, I'm going to move into Zen swings. So Zen swings look very much like a golf swing, and I'm putting 75% of my weight on the standing leg, 25% of my weight on the back leg. And as I'm doing these, I'm just slowly increasing the amplitude as I stretch up. Breathing in through the nose and out through the nose. Back to shaking. Okay, the next one I'm just going to do some monkey arms. This is a double pulse movement. So as my arms come down, whenever my arms are facing down, I just do a little bend and send some energy. Okay, so as you can see there's a double pulse. And I'm just slowly trying to get my arms and my elbows pointed up to the ceiling. And I'm just doing that purely through my legs. They're sending the energy. So I'm not really using my arms much to get my elbows up. And I want this range of motion coming from my shoulders rather than my back. So I'm not leaning back to get my elbows up to the sky. It's just all coming from that little double pulse. Now, if I can get the timing right, it just feels so effortless, so relaxing. Okay, a few more shakes, a few more flicks. Okay, so I'm going to take it down to the ground now. So I'm going to just get down into this position, and I'm going to get into a figure, or a Z sit I should say. So in this one, my right leg is at the front, left leg is at the back, left knee is just tucked in next to the sole of my right foot. And initially I'm just going to put my hands behind these posts and just do some little windscreen wipers. Okay. Now keeping my feet exactly where they are and just moving my legs. These are great for the hips. And then I'm just going to do it now without using my arms as posts. Okay, so I'm just going to progress that slightly now and do a stretch. So in this position I'm just going to put my right hand behind my right hip and then just stretch around. Okay, I'm going to come back to the front, keep my feet where they are, over I go, put my left hand now by my left hip, stretch around. Just going to do 2 more of those to each side. Okay, once I'm back to the original position, just going to sit myself into a figure of 4. Okay, so it kind of looks like a number 4, but I've got my left leg at the front, right leg tucked in. So I'm just going to do a few getting up and down from the base. So I'm going to put my right hand next to my right hip, make sure my shoulder is over my elbow, is over my wrist. And if I push down through my left leg and my right arm, I should get my hip off the ground. And that's the movement I'm going to do now. So I'm just going to take the hip off the ground, and I'm going to move my right foot to the outside of my right hand, stand up. And then I'm just going to reverse that and come back in. Okay, so I'm going to do the same on the other side, and to do that, I'm just going to take the weight onto my backside, swap my feet over, and there I am in a figure of 4, this time with my right leg at the front, left leg down on the ground. I'm going to put my left hand next to my left hip, push down through opposite hand and foot, and then I can move this leg to the outside, my left hand, stand up, and then reverse that to come back down. Okay, so I'm just going to do 2 more on each side. So I'm going to rock back, swap over, stand up, the left hand comes in there, sit back down, rock back, swap over. So now I'm in the opposite side of the figure of 4. Going to push down my left hand and right foot, stand up, reverse that to come back down. 1 more on each side. So here we go. Right foot, stand up, right hand goes down, and back into the figure of 4, swap it over, left arm by my left hip, stand up, come back down. Okay, we'll just go back to where we originally were. I'm just going to add a little progression here now, so I'm just going to, on the way up, I'm going to kick my foot out to the front, kick my foot out to the back, and then stand up. So right hand again by my right hip, kick the foot out, kick it to the back using my other arm as a counterbalance, stand up, come back down into my figure of 4, swap over, left hand now goes by my left hip, kick the foot out, kick it behind using my hand as a counterbalance, stand up, come back down, in, swap over. Okay, same again on this side, foot out, back, stand up from base, reverse, movement back to the figure of 4, swap over, left hand on the left hip, foot out, counterbalance, stand up from base, back down, tuck it in. Now I'll just do 1 more on each side. Swap it over, right hand by my right hip, kick it out, kick it back, stand up from base, back down to the figure of 4. It's the last one on the left hand side, left hand by my left hip, kick it out, back, stand up from base, back to the figure of 4. Okay, so I'm just going to get back to where we were in the starting position. Then let's do a little bit of work again now on the Z-sit. So it's back into the Z-sit, and this time I'm now just going to practice getting up onto my knees. So I just like to make sure my knees are covered by the mat. If it's on hard floor, it can be quite sort of uncomfortable on my knees. Now in the early stages, you can just, I'll just push off with my hands and come up onto my knees with a nice stretch along that sort of back leg thigh. Sit back down. Sometimes I use my hands for assistance at the start. Swap it over. Okay, and then same here. So up I come. Nice stretch in the hip. Pop it back down. Okay, swap it back. So now I'm just going to do, just using my sort of musculature and also a little bit of counterbalance. So I'm just going to come up, back down, swap it over, 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 come up, back down. Okay, then back to the original position. So now I'm just going to add a couple of progressions to this. So I'm going to come up onto my knees, my back leg, and I'm just going to move forward into a lunge position, and then with the opposite hand I'm just going to stretch as far forward as I can. I can feel a stretch in my left hip area and hamstring. I'm going to come back, this knee, now I'm going to bring round to match the sole of the right foot, and then just sit back down. I'm just going to do the same on the other side. So rock that over, come up onto my knees, the back leg now steps forward, and I just stretch with the opposite hand. So I'm just going to do 2 more on each side. So just trying to make it as fluid as I can. Come back, swap it over, back leg steps through, nice stretch, bring it back, so it's just 1 more to each side, stretch with the opposite hand, bring it back, rock it over, step it through, bring it back to the starting position. Okay, now I'm just going to another progression, and I'm just going to stand up out of this. So I'm going to come up onto my knees, step forward, stand up. Take a lunge step back with my right leg, put the top of my foot on the ground, bring my left leg to match it, back into the Z-sit, come across, up we come, step forward with my right leg, stand up, step back into a lunge with my left leg, drop the knee, back of the foot onto the mat, right leg round, sit into that position. Just do 1 more on each side. Step up we go. Back step with my right leg, come into that lunge position. Back of the top of the foot on the mat. Swing the knee round. Okay. Step up here, stand up. Back step with my left leg, knee goes down, top of the foot on the mat, bring the foot round, sit down. And there we are. Okay, so I'm just going to get myself into a nice figure of 4, and I'm going to get up from base. So I'm just going to put my right hand by my right hip, and then just stand up. Okay, so a few more flicks and shakes. Okay, so that feels really good in my hip area. My hips feel nice and relaxed, nice and mobile, and there's a bit of strength in there as well, a bit of control. Okay, so just for the last section, I'm just going to do a little bit on the upper body. So I'm going to do, first of all, I want to get into a nice hinge position, and to do that, I want to have sort of this kind of body position. Now, it's very easy to get into a squat position rather than a hinge position. So if I find myself in this position, I remind myself that my knees need to go back and my hips need to go back almost to the sort of top corner of the room. So it's kind of that position. I know I'm in the right position because I can feel my hamstrings and my gluteus muscles taking the under tension and taking the load, and my lower legs are vertical. Okay, so from this position, I'm going to do some IWTYs. So I'm going to send my hands back. Okay, so almost like a downhill skiing position. I'm going to rotate the knuckles so they're facing each other and my thumbs are facing the ceiling. And I'm really going to maximise the distance between my ears and my shoulders. Okay, so from that position I'm going to tuck my elbows in as far as I can to my torso, keeping my shoulder blades pinched together, I'm going to turn the palms up to face the ceiling. Breathing in through the nose and out through the nose. And I'm just checking mindfully that my position, my hinge position is correct. Okay, and then I'm going to send my arms out to opposite sides of this room, really forcing those fingers to each wall and spreading my shoulder blades across my back. And at the same time, I'm moving my thumbs up to the ceiling. This is a T position. From this position, I am now going to move into the Y position. Pretty much the same, I'm just sending my fingers off to the corners of the room, thumbs as high as I can possibly get them, spreading my shoulder blades across my back. I'm going to move back into a T, back into the W, which here, tucking my elbows into the torso, palms facing up, and then back into the I, and then stand up. Okay, so that creates a lot of tension there, so we just want to shake that body tension out. We've just got one more set. Okay, so remember that hinge position I need to get into, so I need to send my knees back and my hips up. That really works the hamstrings and the gluteus muscles. I get into the I position, knuckles facing each other, thumbs facing the ceiling, biggest distance I can get from my ears and my shoulders. Tuck the elbows in, bring the palms up, W position, pinching my shoulder blades together, trying to keep my elbows tucked in tight. Out to the T, take those fingertips as far away from each other as you can possibly get. Spread the shoulder blades across your back, thumbs facing the ceiling and trying to get as high or as close to the ceiling as you can. Move to the Y, back to the T, back to the W, back to the I. Stand up. And just shake off any residual tension there. Give them a few flicks, a few shakes. Okay, so that's a nice little bit of mobility conditioning session. Looked developed working on the hips and also the shoulder area.